Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about a big project I've been working on for a while. Removing several trees around the perimeter of my house. Most of these trees were over 60 feet tall and dangerously close to the house. From a distance they looked nice, but up close they posed a serious risk. After a few storms rolled through, I realized just how vulnerable the house really was. One gust of wind or an ice storm and those trees could come crashing down. I walked the perimeter of my home and assessed each tree using 4 factors. Is the tree healthy? Does it hang directly over the house, creating shade? If it fell, would it hit the house? What damage would it cause? Does it interfere with house operations or future plans? After completing the tree assessment, I had a list of 14 trees that I wanted to take down and another 5 or 6 that could make the list, but I decided I could leave for another year, that they were far enough away from the house and they were leaning in a different direction that hopefully if something major happened to them they would fall away from the house. But I had 14 that I wanted to take care of so that I could make sure that the house was in good shape. So the picture behind me are the trees that I marked for removal. The yellow stars are the trees that I have already removed, and the orange stars are the ones that I have to finish up this spring. I'll talk a little more about other reasons why these trees came down other than what I've already mentioned and how it's going to help my house. Stay tuned. This is one of the first trees that I took down. It was about a 50-foot cherry that before I bought the house got hit by lightning. This part of the tree shattered and dropped and laid on the ground while the rest of the tree hung over the house. Now, because of the lightning strike, the tree actually died. So when I moved in, this was hanging over the house, right over the bedroom where my granddaughter sleeps when she visits. So the last thing I wanted is a dead tree hanging over the house that could fall and break through the roof. The next tree on the list is a black locust. 6 out of the 14 trees that I'm taking down are black locust. Walking through my woods, I noticed most of all fallen trees were black locust. Even though it's a hardwood, locusts grow tall and skinny in the woods. They produce only small canopies, which also means they have small root systems, because canopies are proportionate to root growth. Add insect and poor structure and they become high risk. On my land, if a tree falls in the woods, odds are it's a locust. The next group of trees that I'm cutting down, what I group together as shade trees. They are the basswoods, the oaks, and the maples, mainly because they hang over the house and create a lot of shade on my roof. Heavy shade causes moss to grow on my roof. The moss shortens shingle life. Damp roofs lead to leaks, rot, and expensive repairs. You can treat the symptom or just remove the cause. I chose to remove the trees. Now I can spray the moss and get rid of it, and it won't grow back
because I've gotten rid of the shade trees that were hanging over the house. Not to mention that they pose a risk in a storm to breaking off and falling through the house also. But the most important reason was because the shade that it was casting on the house. Okay, I have 2 sections left. One's a little story, and the last section is just going to be a little video of us taking the trees down. I hope you enjoy that. No commentary, maybe just a little sound behind the videos. Most of it's sped up, so it's not very long. But the story, back in 1991, I was actually a salesman for a tree company. And March 3rd and 4th of that year, Western New York had a major, brutal ice storm. We had over a ½ inch of ice. I was out doing estimates, and I went to this one house where they said they had a tree that had gone through the roof. I get to the house, and I start talking to the father of the house. And he starts telling me the night of the storm, hearing this just major crash. He jumped out of bed, and the first thing he thought about was his daughter. So he ran to his daughter's bedroom, swung open the door, and ran into the tree that had crashed through the house into his daughter's bedroom. Luckily, the tree was between the door and his daughter's bed. She was fine, thank God. But can you imagine hearing something like that and running into one of your child's bedrooms and running into a tree and not seeing them or wondering what may have happened? That sort of stuck with me. So now when I got trees hanging over my house, I sort of have a tendency to want to take them down because I've seen the power of what trees can do. They're no match for a house. House is just some timber. A tree, the amount of weight that a tree can hold is unbelievable, especially when it picks up some momentum as it's falling. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And that's sort of the reason why I take a lot of trees down when I have them hanging over my house. So the next section, as I said, is just some video of us taking the trees down. I hope you liked the video. If you do, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, and come back. And leave a comment. I always appreciate comments. I do my best to get back to every one of them. And see you on the next video.
And David's up in the tree, but this is his better half, Bree. Say hi, Bree.
Hi, how are you?
She's David's rope person, and between together, they're a rocking team. And I'm just sort of get in the way once in a while, but I get the brush out of the way for them. So we'll check in a little later.